Hi, welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Josh.
And I'm Drew.
This is our weekly pull list review for October 21st. This week we're going to look at 4 titles. We have Astonishing Ant-Man, number 1. I don't know why I wanted to say X-Men. I've been thinking that in my head all night. X-Men. We have Karnak, number 1. We have The Fade Out, number 10. And Weirdworld, number 5.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into it. We're going to start off talking about Astonishing Ant-Man. That's this guy right here. This is by Spencer, Rosanos, and Boyd. This is the same team that's been working on this title all new, all different.
So in this one, because it is a number 1, they do a little bit of reintroducing of the world and the status quo, so to speak. The main plot that we get in here, though, is that there is now an app for henchmen.
Yeah. First off, we have this 8-month jump that's happening in all these titles, but this one really makes a little bit of a joke about it right off the bat, which I liked.
Yeah. I joined a gym, then I stopped going to a gym, then I started again.
Yeah. He kind of goes over what he's done in the last 8 months, and it wasn't anything important, which, you know, is kind of one of those Grant Morrison type jokes, is the way I felt about it, where it's like there were no comics covering those 8 months, so obviously nothing important happened. So I thought that was pretty clever, pretty funny, and really set the tone for the series, especially for a new reader.
Yeah, it's very tongue-in-cheek as a whole, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It really doesn't take itself seriously at all.
No, not at all. And neither does he. It's kind of his most charming quality, really, is that he doesn't take himself seriously. Or really anything that he undertakes, any of his endeavors, he's...
Well, I don't know. He tries to be a good dad, you know, and he's got a good heart. He's got a heart of gold.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's
like Neil Young, man.
Bumbling loser with a heart of gold. That's this character.
And he's getting old.
So let's talk about the dad thing, because I thought that was pretty great in here. And definitely the furthest from the humor of the book. Every time we start talking about his daughter, the humor falls away. Mm-hmm. There can still be humor involved, but really that takes a back seat to this real family-oriented thing about how conflicted he is with dealing with his daughter.
Yeah, he takes it very seriously, probably the most seriously of anything in his life. Mm-hmm. And for people that have been keeping up with Ant-Man, her heart had PIM particles in it, which made her like a superhero. And then this other guy basically stole it. So she's back to normal, so to speak. And he's decided to sort of distance himself because, as everybody knows, if you're in any way involved with a superhero, you're constantly in danger. So she has this idea that he's become this absolute piece of shit who's like never around.
Right, absentee father.
Right. But in fact, he's always there. He's just tiny.
Yeah, he shrinks down and he goes to all of her parent-teacher conferences and all of her basketball games. And,
doctor's appointments. Everything.
Right, everything. He's there for all of it, and she has no idea. So he has to be there and listen to her talk about what a terrible piece of crap father he is, which I thought was pretty touching, really, actually.
And I think it's very endearing that he still does all this stuff and doesn't get recognition for it. It's like the person who donates to charity and doesn't brag about it.
Right.
It's like that's your real hero.
Right, yeah. And then on the other side of this, there's just a lot of great, goofy humor. We have the same theme, really, with the museum. He wants to get this contract, this security contract. But the argument is that being a superhero puts the people around you in danger. So being a security firm with superheroes and ex-supervillains or maybe ex-supervillains, which I love these auxiliary characters, by the way.
There's a bit ambiguity on their actual motivations.
Yeah, the big bear guy that's still...
he's great.
Yeah. Yeah, what a weird character. But this whole idea that they're just surrounded by trouble, and by being someone's security company, they're actually bringing the trouble in, and that's repeated throughout this series. The first trade, which we've actually reviewed previously on one of our trade issues.
Yeah, we should probably throw a link down.
Yeah, we will. We'll toss one down there. It had sort of the same problem, where he's or at least it seemed like it ended up being a whole thing. But, so this is a recurring theme where being a superhero just brings trouble.
Yeah, it's got the Spider-Man thing going on.
Right. So other than it being particularly funny, having the poignant family stuff, is there anything story-wise that we want to hit on here?
I think we probably already spoiled enough. I would say that this is the perfect title for Nick Spencer, in my opinion. I think he's knocking it out of the park. Art-wise, it's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. It does have a good cliffhanger at the end.
It does.
It was pretty interesting. I'm excited to see issue number 2.
Yeah.
All right, so this week, our number 2 issue that we're going to talk about is another number 1 from the all-new, all-different Marvel. This is Karnak. This is by Ellis, Zaffino, and Brown. And this was the one title that got recommended to us by one of our viewers.
It's the one title that we weren't already planning on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We were already going to read everything else that got recommended, but this one was recommended, and we did not have it on our list.
I'm super glad that it did get recommended. I super liked it.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
And this was recommended by, his name is Rack Shade, right?
Yes.
So thanks for that recommendation. We really appreciate it, because I agree. This was pretty good.
Yeah. And also, I love it that his superpower is that he's a pessimist, essentially. He's like this Nietzschean superhero. So, in this, we find him tasked with finding a kid that went through Teragenesis. Is that right? That's a Marvel thing?
Right.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about Teragenesis and what that is? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's pretty crucial to...
I can talk about it a little bit. First of all, this has a very strong tie-in, actually, with Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, he is one of the big players in the show. He's actually sort of the lead on the show.
Okay.
And we also see some of the auxiliary characters from the show floating around. He talks to Simmons and Fitz both. They're both great characters from the show. So that was cool to see in here. And also this whole thing with the Terrigen Mist and Teragenesis has been explored a lot over the last season of Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And what this is the setup for Inhumans, basically. Like the X-Men, each Inhuman has their own weird DNA difference. But instead of just automatically getting that power when they
have this gas.
Right, this gas they have to breathe this gas in, and when they do that, it triggers their power, and they become an Inhuman.
Which can be found in spray paint, kids.
And anybody that's doesn't have this Inhuman gene in them just dies when they breathe this in as well, which will probably end up somewhere. If we're talking about Inhumans in this kind of dark book, we'll probably see some of that too.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people are going to die in this.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, I really can't shake this connection to like Nietzschean philosophy that keeps appearing in here about how everything is so meaningless. And a rock really means more to the universe than a human life ever does. It's pretty dark for Marvel, man.
It's quite dark, but it is Ellis. He's kind of I have it written down here as gritty, edgy, grimdark. He's that kind of guy. He's from that school of writing, of this very pessimistic, angry, anti-hero background. He does a lot of that sort of work.
Yeah, anti-hero, I think would be another good way to describe this guy. Overall, I was pretty impressed with the writing. It doesn't feel like half-baked philosophy at all, which it very easily could. When you're tasked with writing this priest of the Inhumans or whatever, it could be very easy to just sort of sum up a couple key points and then just keep hitting on them. But it seems like he really took his time and thought out this whole philosophy that this guy is leading these people towards, I guess. So that was cool. The artwork, actually, I liked quite a bit, too. It's got like a cool, scratchy kind of style. There's a couple panels where I couldn't tell exactly what was going on, but I think for stylistic purposes, it was probably justified, I would say.
I agree. I thought the art was pretty cool overall. It's not. It's another one where I don't feel like it's mind blowing. It's not
Weirdworld.
It's not Weirdworld was exactly what I was about to say, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. But it's definitely cool. It's not just standard Marvel fare. It doesn't, in fact, look like standard comic art any variety. It
really.
definitely has its own voice and unique look to it. It makes it pretty cool. There's also some good humor in here. I heard you snicker a few times while you were reading. I got a couple of good laughs out of it as well. I won't spoil. We don't need to spoil any jokes, but there's some funny stuff. Both, especially for, I don't know if it was probably as funny for you because you're not a follower of the show, but a lot of the Coulson, Fitz, and Simmons interactions. The intricacies of their characters and understanding those characters a little more thoroughly made me laugh quite a bit. Whereas I can see if they're just generic Agent 1, 2, and 3, that probably wasn't as funny.
That's kind of how I saw.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, let's jump away from Marvel here, take a break from our Marvel-loaded week for just a minute. Let's talk about The Fade Out number 10. This is Brubaker and Phillips. And also, by the way, this has colors by Elizabeth Breitweiser. I don't know if she's been doing the coloring, but she doesn't get
Front
cover.
page.
Yeah, so I thought I'd mention that this time.
Gil and Charlie are getting pretty hardcore about their investigating and stuff. It's mainly what we see in here. It always surprises me how little happens in these issues, but how much I feel like happened. And I would say this is no exception. Like, as far as actual plot points, we didn't get that far. But there's so much in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of intricate dialogue that happens. So much of what happens is just in the conversations these people have and these...
They're in Charlie's head.
Yeah. Talking about in Charlie's head, I just have to mention, I loved in here, I just want to mention the specific moment where he's talking about how frustrated he is that he can't remember that night because he was so drunk. And we see him pick up a glass and start drinking again. And I feel like that just keeps getting hit on here. And it's just such a good artistic metaphor for the series as a whole. I love that Sean Phillips, he keeps coming back to this imagery of every time they're trying to think straight and reason things out, they start drinking. And
Every time.
Every single time,
That's kind of, if you watch old movies, that's how it was. Like, anything would happen to you. Like, oh, this woman's startled. Get her a drink. Yeah. Oh, this man's lost his hat. Get him a whiskey.
Yeah.
Just absolutely fucking absurd. Like, he was just this level of functional alcoholism that I hope never returns to our culture because it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, no exception. And it is, I don't know if you'd call it poetic injustice or masochism in a way, but it is cool.
Yeah. And
I like it.
I definitely like it. I think it's one of the main themes of this entire series is just the destructive nature of alcoholism. I really feel like
and the characters.
They're practically, jamming it down our throats, but in a way that doesn't feel forced or anything like that. It's just, I think that's one of the main themes here.
Yeah, I don't ever feel preached to about the dangers of alcohol or whatever. No. That's probably like the furthest thing from my mind when I read it, even though I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, these fucking drunks are never going to figure this shit out. Right.
So other than that, really just a lot of small pieces fall into place. I feel like this is the beginning of the third act here. Last issue was kind of a rehash, and let's pick up and talk about all the characters and make sure we really understand these characters now because we're at this pivotal moment. And now we're tumbling down the final rabbit hole of how this all came together, I feel like.
Yeah. A lot of dialogue, a lot of inner monologue. Contemplation is a huge thing. I love this book.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
We only got 2 more of them, BT dubs. So, you should be sad too.
Yeah. Weirdworld. This is number 5. This is Aaron and Del Mundo. This is the end of Weirdworld as we know it.
Can we give it like a tribute, like double Wu-Tang W? Would you mind?
Oh yeah, see, Weird World.
Yeah. Nothing to fuck with.
That's right.
Which is ironic because somebody else is going to fuck with it very soon.
Yeah. Humphreys is going to fuck all over it. Yeah. Sam Humphreys, I believe, is his name.
Who's that?
Just some dude that is well known for coming in and fucking shit up and ruining it. I believe he's the guy that did that awful Ultimates run like 7 or 8 years ago that people still make fun of to this day.
Maybe he's a real villain.
Yeah.
Like
He's a real comic book villain.
Yeah, he is the comic book villain. We get the big rebellion against Morgan Le Fay, which again, I love that name for like a villain. It's fantastic. Sounds like somebody I know.
Yeah. Man, where to start with this? Because this is the last one. I'll tell you, right off the bat, the art, like always, is incredible. It just blows you away over and over again. There's much
beautiful 2-page spread
Yeah.
right in the middle of this.
Yeah. We see the return of some characters that I was excited to see. I knew coming in. Well, I assumed we would see one of these characters. Of course, it's Weirdworld, so it could have all been a farce and never have worked out. But we see that it did, which was pretty cool. There was an interesting mix here of the very eloquent speaking, the soliloquies again that we have seen through most of these issues, like this very barbaric, I'm going to bash skulls in kind of thing, and also some fun, light humor as well.
Yeah. On the first 2 points, it kind of reminds me of old kung fu movies in that. Like, yeah, there are the fight scenes, but most of them is just this really heady philosophy about what it means to be like, a fighter or a warrior or something. And then, they put immense thought into something as simple as like punching each other, which you wouldn't you think that's about as lizard brain as you can get,
right?
But there is a lot of philosophy. I thought it was cool.
Me too. That being said, the ending
pissed me off.
Yeah. Fuck crossovers and all this and tie-ins and
can you just end it and then like let the other guy like do whatever the hell?
Let
he's gonna
him
screw it up.
Do this thing that they ended it with. Just end it like a end of a story.
Or he could not screw it up. He can screw it up or he could not screw it up. But the point is, he has the task of figuring that out.
Right.
So, that's that.
Yeah, this is just... The ending of this is Marvel editorial taking over and forcing... And that ending, it is. They looked at it and said, here's what we need you to do for the last 3 pages. It's a bummer.
Like, really? And they were like, yeah. And he was like, but really? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we got.
It's a bummer, but it's what you get with these sort of things sometimes. And the rest of the series was so good. I kind of thought, after Old Man Logan, remember that ending? It was kind of the same sort of thing. I was worried that we'd get that sort of thing again, and we pretty much did.
Yeah, so Secret Wars, Battle World is just probably across the board shitty endings.
Yeah, probably all of them.
Cool. I did see he's going to do like a Darth Vader.
Yeah, Vader Down miniseries. That could be pretty cool.
Which I'm not super into Star Wars. I think I was right in between. I was like the generation that missed the Star Wars on both. Right. But if it's Jason Aaron, I'm sure probably good.
Vader's a badass character, so it could be really cool. It'd probably be similar to this. He's a very heady samurai warrior kind of thing. He's like space samurai is what he is. That's just pissed off and has decided fuck the world kind of guy. So, yeah, that could be pretty cool. Other than that, the other thing I'm thinking, by the way, I'm just going to throw this out here and people can comment if they'd like. I think what we should do, since this is gone and this was cool, I think we should go back and do a trade episode for the
whole
Conan.
thing?
No, Conan from Dark Horse. I think it has a very similar vibe to this. It was Kurt Busiek. He's a pretty cool writer. So I think we should put that on our list to give us more of this kind of thing.
Yeah, my only apprehension is I'm generally not a fan of this kind of thing, and this is the one that really broke me away from that and showed me that, it can be a cool medium in the right hands. I'm not sure that... I'll give it a shot, but I'll probably hate it. I'm just saying.
We'll see.
What was that other... Birthright is the other barbarian title that's really big right now. I didn't really like it at all.
Yeah.
And people that are into the medium seem to think it's like amazing. So,
all right,
we'll see. If you've read it, convince me that it doesn't suck.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much wraps it up for us. What else do we got coming up? Have we decided what we're gonna give him on Monday? We sure haven't, have we?
No.
All right. Well, I guess Monday is going to be a surprise. You can come back next Wednesday when we'll have another weekly pull list review. Got some more all different Marvel stuff coming out. Might have The Last Airboy next week. might be a couple weeks out still. Extraordinary X-Men, I know that's coming up.
Are we doing that?
Some cool stuff. I think we are.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure we are. I think that's the other title we talked about doing. It's Lemire.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Lemire,
X-Men.
Yeah, that's what sold me on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great mix, I think, of course.
Okay. You've also been missing Bloodshot.
Yeah, I don't know what's
When's that
going
gonna
on with
come
that. I don't know if it's just taken forever or if we
I know
missed an
he's
issue
got
somewhere.
a lot of new titles coming out, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was taking a little break. Because it was announced Moon Knight is coming back, and he's writing for that. And then, what was the other title he just started on?
I don't know.
I can't remember. Anyway, he's a busy guy, so.
I think it's probably just taking a while.
Yeah.
All right, well, go ahead and comment below if you have anything to say about any of these titles we talked about today. If you have anything to say about the idea of us reading Conan and reviewing that, I think we're going to do it if you like it or not. Like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Check out our Facebook and Twitters, and come back next week. Cool, thanks. Bye.